All right, so we've been talking to you for a little bit, and now we're actually live here, even though we've been sitting here talking. So we'll probably move on real quick, but we just wanted to screenshot over here real quick and let you know who we are. Obviously, I'm Cody Wilson,
I'm Chris Luna.
and we'll move on here and start with really kind of the details of what we had. Everything you had so far was all related to information Rock Hill wanted to pass along. So we've first want to talk about who the UCI is and really kind of this event that most of you have signed up for, and hopefully by now everybody um, has an understanding of what you signed up for. Obviously, you went through some qualifying to become part of Team USA, but really, as part of Team USA, you're racing in the UCI BMX World Championship. So the UCI is the International Cycling Federation. So they run races internationally. As far as BMX, you see a lot of the pro elite World Cup races. For amateurs, they run one race a year. It's the Challenge event, and this is the World Championship. So this is the Challenge World Championships, and that is kind of what the UCI does every year. And one of the major things, and really the only time an amateur is going to interact with UCI, is at this event. So you have registered for their event. Our interaction with them for this event is completely different. We are Team USA just like you. We're not there running this event. UCI officials run the event, and UCI has sourced Rock Hill to host this event this year.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to add to that. I mean, the only thing I can say is, like Cody's saying, we don't run the event. You'll see a lot of the staff people you see at nationals at different locations of the event. Some of our people are, UCI, certified officials. So therefore, you may see familiar faces, or actually you will see familiar faces in staging, as well as, the gate starters and stuff like that. But other than that, it's going to be a total different look and somewhat different feel from what you're used to on a week in, week out basis.
So as we get into now, we know who the UCI is and the UCI World Championships. We want to let you know a lot of things that are different. Obviously, most everyone knows they have a little bit different rules. We've got the rule book linked if you want to go there, bmx2017.com, same website you went to register and everywhere else. We do have their rule book, but we've kind of already done the work for you and taken out some of the major differences of equipment and different rules that they have that may be different from what you're used to racing USA BMX races. So number one for equipment that we have is do not take off your helmet while on the track under any circumstance. So unless you're being seen by a medical crew at that point and you've crashed and you're on the ground, don't take your helmet off, don't unstrap it for anything really until you cross the finish line.
Right. Just keep in mind, if you do that, you're going to be scored as a DNF, which will be did not finish, and therefore be given a lot of points for that. So it's always crucial to make sure you keep on that helmet and keep it strapped throughout. The next thing on here we have is you must wear gloves with full fingers. Most of you guys have qualified. We tried to go over a lot of that at the qualifiers. It's kind of a no-brainer on that. Jersey sleeves rolled down. A lot of people want to push up their jersey sleeves. The UCI officials will be looking for that, and if they see that, they're going to ask you to pull them down. If they have to ask you more than once,
they may not have you race. So your jersey must be tucked in. So that's very simple. Just keep your jersey tucked in. As long as you start the race with the jersey tucked in, that's what they're looking for. If for some reason you stretch out over a jump or in a turn and your jersey becomes untucked, that does not disqualify you. But as far as staging and gate start, if it's not tucked in there, again, they could ask you to step away from the gate and not race, or they could ask you to tuck it in. But they're going to have to run at a fast pace. So if you don't have it on, they're just probably going to race without you. Or not tucked in. They're not going to ask you and delay the race so you can tuck in your shirt. So again, as coaches and for the younger ones, we will be making sure that happens as they head into staging and they're looking good. The jerseys are long enough that you shouldn't have a problem getting them tucked in. They're not like form-fitting cut jerseys that stop at the waist, so you should have plenty of room to tuck them in.
Next thing on the list we have is shorts may be worn with proper knee and shin protection. It's kind of like similar to our rule as well. You just have to make sure if you're going to have tear-resistant shorts, that you have the proper knee and shin protection. Race pants only. There'll be no sweats, soccer pants, Dickies, or jeans. When we say race pants, UCI deems that as tear-resistant race pants. A lot of times if there's something in question, they're going to ask to see the tag, and the tag in most pants will say tear-resistant.
So, no action cameras during racing. That means no GoPros or any other style like a GoPro. So any of those action cameras that mount on your helmets, they do not allow those. So in being that you're not going to be in the pits and all of that, it's probably best just not to mount it on for that week. There's really no reason to take it and worry about having to not use it in racing and all of that. So, and remember, in that, nothing can be worn over your USA jersey. The neck braces are going to be okay, so any neck braces you have that may lay over the top shoulders of your jersey, that's not a problem. But as far as the full body armors that zip up over jerseys, those are not allowed because they want to see the country jersey. So keep those underneath your jersey. And helmets, those must have a visor on them. So they do require same helmet restrictions as us, except that they also want the visor, and they do not do open face helmets.
That's gotta be, sorry Brent Lee, if you're on here. Gotta have a visor and a full face, buddy. All right, sliding into etiquette. You're representing the United States of America. Please act accordingly. The first thing on here is no foul language. That's just something that the UCI, they just won't accept, okay? So if you're caught, using foul language, they've been known to just eject you immediately. No goofing around. This is one of our things, is no goofing around in the compound. A lot of the parents are on here. Obviously, you've spent a lot of money to get your kids there, and obviously they're there to race. There'll be plenty of goofing around and celebrating afterwards, but in the pits, we just ask that everybody is courteous and no goofing around in the actual team compound.
Only staff and riders competing that day are allowed in the pit area. So practice days, Sunday and Monday, the riders will be in there. Starting Tuesday, only allowed in on the day that you are racing. So cruiser day, if you're not racing cruiser, do not bring your bike or yourself into the pit area. There just simply is not room for 928 of you on every race day. The race days are broken up. We've got about even numbers of people nearly every day, and that's what our pit area is going to be for. It's not going to be for 928 people and bikes. So only bring those in on the day you're competing. If your competition is over that day or you're eliminated during rounds, the best place to watch the race is in the bleachers at that point. So again, it's best to remove yourself from the team pit area and allow people that are continuing to race the space to try to succeed in their quarters, semis, or main events. And riders may not protest a race. Only team managers can discuss with commissaires. So if we have something that needs to be discussed or a rider comes to us with their concern, we will then go to the commissaires and look for an answer. And so some of you are aware, a commissaire is an official with the UCI.
Yeah, and it goes back to the same thing on that commissaire one is, when we go back there, same thing with videos. Now you guys are used to coming to the finish line, watching the video. You can't do that at the World Championships. It can only be a team manager.
Yeah, we can contest a score, but they're just going to look into it and give us their answer. And they will. They do have video, and they will check the race and come to a conclusion, but it's not in the same fashion that you might be used to.
The next thing here, it follows right into that as well. Do not argue with the officials. It's going to get you nowhere. There's no point in doing it. Just get with the team manager or your coach for that day and let them voice your concern to them. And at that time, they will take that up with the official. Or actually, if it's a coach, they'll pass it on to the team manager, and then the team manager then will take it up with the head commissaire. Official warning is a one-time only. Basically, what that means is you get one verbal, and then from there.
Yeah. One of the rules that they have is that the commissaire's decision is final. So everything about that is how it works. So if you begin to talk to them about it again, they may warn you and tell you this is my answer. And if you continue to talk to them about it past that, then they may not have you race. They don't they don't mess around at UCI races and their rules and their commissaries. But again, your child most likely will not end up in a situation where they're talking to the commissary. That'll be us. So we will obviously respect their decision. So understand that while you may not think we're fighting for your child, we're doing exactly what they allow us to do. And sometimes we're just going to have to respect their answer and move on. And with that, obviously respect the no access areas. So you guys as spectators, if you're going along and you get to a point that's no access and it's credential only, they're not going to allow you by it. There's no way to get by it. There's going to be security. And if you don't have the proper credentials, you're not moving along. If you sneak past them or end up on the wrong side of things, yourself, our whole team, or your rider could all be disqualified. I mean, again, they don't take warnings lightly.
You know, and that's a thing to go back on too. What people don't realize sometimes is a parent or a friend in the stands or anyone that's basically there representing USA, for instance, if you guys do something wrong in those stands, they have the ability to throw the whole team out. Not just the rider, like with us, you know, if there's a disqualification or something with us, you know, the rider's just gone. You know, but with this, if a parent or somebody in the stands acts up or does something they're not supposed to, they can come back to our pit area and say, hey, you guys are done.
Yep. And so last thing, we probably skipped over cleanup, I think, but in our pit area, you know, try to keep things clean. We'll talk to the riders about that. And again, that's something we'll talk to the riders about. Some of the older riders that may be on here watching, obviously, we'll ask that of you, and the younger ones, we'll ask that of them while they're in there. And then be on time. We're going to have the schedule out once we get it. And at that point, we will have kind of some times on when practice is going to start, when we'd like you to be in there so we can get riders into staging. And, you know, everybody being there helps us do that. If we have to wait behind for people that are missing, that only changes the coach to rider ratio.
All right, rider-parent communication and meeting area. Talk about having your own personal support group and where, when to meet. There will be a designated parent area identified prior to the start of racing. So here's the deal. To kind of give a background, I'm actually going to be in Rock Hill this Thursday and to go over some final stuff to kind of see where things are going to be located and what they're thinking. They've changed it several times, so hopefully I can get some more answers on that. The parent zone is something usually on the way either into the track, actually into the staging area, or out of the exit area of the track. It'll be over by the team area on one side of the fence, on one of the four sides of the fence there. And once we know where that is, obviously it'll be labeled as parent zone. We will pass that information on to you guys. The idea is after your rider's done with a moto or a lap, they can stop by the parent zone for a quick talk, debrief with you guys if that's what you want. And then we need to continue on to the pit area. You know, keeping the kid there too long, it puts everything behind in the pit area because you're not there very long already. When motos get started, you're looking at probably, what do you think, Cody, 20 to 30 minutes between motos?
At this race, we might have 30 minutes at the most that they're in the pit area, and then they're back into staging. The UCI staging system is a lot more complex, and it can take upwards of 20 to 30 minutes and 60 motos ahead of time for staging at some point. So we're going to be taking your kid up quite early. And for the older riders, you'll know, and we're going to take you guys up also, or let you know where to go. And again, it's going to be early. So with that, stay alert. Make sure everybody's aware of what's going on, where we're at in racing, because obviously we can't help you if everybody wanders off and they're not in the team compound. When we call motos up, at some point we've got to go with the group. So we're going to do everything we can. We'll keep everybody together. We'll have age groups set aside in the pit area, so everybody's kind of pitting by age group so that we don't lose anybody to start with. But of course, if you've got your kid up against the parent fence, that only hinders us getting them into staging. So everybody kind of needs to be aware of what's going on during the racing, and don't keep your kid up against the gate when we know we got to get them into staging.
Mechanics. Okay. So I know there's been a lot of questions about, you know, emergencies and stuff like that. Emergencies, repairs, and adjustments are basically what the mechanics are there for. Okay, gear or equipment changes are the responsibility of the rider and or the parents. So let's say, you know, it's a lot easier here in the States because you guys are most of you going to be here instead of in a foreign country. If you think your rider needs a gear change, that's going to be something that, you know, that needs to be dealt with, you know, after practice, and you guys can change it the night before the race, you know, and stuff like that. You know, we're talking about flat tire, something comes loose, you break a chain, anything like that, our mechanics are there and they're gonna knock it out. Broken brake cable. But as far as like changing handlebars and gears, I mean, we're at the World Championships by then. We feel the riders should be pretty much set and ready to go for racing.
So we get into racing. Well, the UCI has told us that weather could cut racing short, so that every moto, and this is same as last year and really every year. They're going to tell us that any sort of weather or anything could change the racing. So we just want you to be aware that UCI has a way to have world champions without either running mains or stopping early. They've got things for everything. But in all of that, it goes back to the best scores that you had during the day. So we just want to let you know that every moto counts. So ride smart. Don't think that just because you're in third round and you've already got the transfer position with 2 firsts, that fourth place is going to cut it. Because if later in the day they come to a decision where they've got to look back at those rounds to see how you did and you just kind of sat down to save your legs, sometimes that doesn't always work out the best. Although in the last decade of UCI Worlds that I've been to, I don't remember that happening, but they always kind of make that aware, and we just want to let you know that that is what's on the plate there.
Another thing there too, basically, go back when GMX we were there. Another thing too, guys, is we put that out there just to let you guys know, there's no need for everybody to freak out or anything about that, about the race not getting done and this and that. We just want you guys, like Cody was saying, to be aware of it. Rest assured, if the weather's bad and we see weather coming in, that we will be making sure the riders are aware in the pit area as well. Hey, listen, we may not get this thing in. Those of you that have been to Rock Hill know that rain's not going to stop us there. It's going to be the lightning. If we have lightning happen, they're going to shut down the whole facility there, and they're going to have to wait the 30-minute break until they don't have lightning within their certain distance. So we just want to make sure you guys are aware there. Also on the racing thing here, we have riders must have number plates, side plates, wristband, bike stickers, and 2017 Team USA jersey during all track activities. Okay, it's not like when you go to a race now and you don't have to have your number plate on and all this. They're not going to let you up there without that. Okay, same thing with the side plate, and what the side plate is basically it's your number on the side of your frame that they use for the cameras in order for scoring. The wristband and bike stickers. So basically your wristband that each rider has will match a barcode on their bikes. That's how you get in and out of the pit area. If a rider comes out there with a bike without a sticker or with the barcode on the bike, they're not going to let you out with that bike. It's a security thing, and it's just not happening. So it's crucial those things stay in place.
Yeah, part of their credentialing process is the bike matches the rider that it's going in and out with. So that wristband credential has codes on it, and they also give you some for your bike. So your bike has that same barcode on it. So riders are responsible for their own water and nutrition. Please make sure water bottles have names on them. So when you bring in, and now responsibility, obviously, we're going to have water and some nutritional items available. We'll get into that in a little bit when we explain kind of the team area. But if you bring in a water bottle, make sure that you've got something on it to distinguish, because I'm going to guess that you guys will most likely all have bottles that look similar. Whether it be a Dan's Comp bottle and you've gotten those previously at another race and everybody's got one that looks the same. So put something on there. That'll help our coaches keep track of those 32 people they're watching and whose bottle was whose.
Yeah, and we're probably going to contradict ourselves later on in this thing, talking about the water and nutrition, just so you know too. I mean, obviously, we can go ahead and say it now. I mean, we have a water bottle coming for the riders as well, that'll be in their packet. Just like we did last year as well. There will be water, like Cody was saying, Gatorade and some nutrition stuff that we'll get into later on. But yeah.
During qualifying, they will always take top 4, except in the following cases. So the difference there, they're one group, total points race, 5 rider minimum will make a class. But they do 9 riders a little bit differently. You'll see 2 groups. It's going to be 5 riders and 4 riders. They will then take 4 riders and 3 riders to a 7-rider main. So some of you experienced that at the qualifier races. There were some 9-rider classes that we only had 7 rider mains. That's their rules, and that's how they group these riders and do the 2 group classes when there's only 9 riders. So anything over 9, you don't have to worry. It's very similar. They're going to take top 4.
All right. If you feel you were not placed correctly, notify your team manager for review within 15 minutes or the closest USA staff member, and they will contact team manager by radio. So basically, just let your coach know. You know, if you feel like they didn't score you correctly, or you feel like you had a close call at the finish line that maybe we didn't see, just let them know. We just have 15 minutes to actually lodge that, to get that changed.
Yeah, and for the younger riders, they don't need to really let us know. We've got staff members that will be down at the scoring area, and they post results. So we'll be checking those results also to make sure that our riders were scored correctly as we had them scored. So failure to start a race, they'll give you a did not start, which they refer to as a DNS. It will give you last place plus 2 points. So you're going to get 2 more points than the amount of riders that are in that moto. It does lead, you will be ineligible to transfer if you get 2 did not starts. So you obviously don't want to do that twice. The only time that really is going to come into a case is if an injury or a bike failure has caused you to not get into staging, or somehow they miss it through staging. But with their system and staging, it's fairly hard to miss a moto. Did not finish, they refer to that as DNF. It's last place. So if you crash and everyone else has gotten up, you still want to go around the track and finish. Otherwise, if you walk off the track, you're going to get did not finish, which is the same as last. So if everybody else has already crossed the finish line, that doesn't change much. But if there's still someone else on the track and then they happen to fall and you got up and finished on your own and passed them, then you won't be last, obviously. But if you walk off the track or didn't finish, they're also going to give you a did not finish in last place.
Next is if an official touches a down rider, they will be scored as a DNF. All DNFs are scored as last place. That just kind of goes hand in hand with what Cody just read on the other DNF rule. Just know that, you know, they're going to try to give you every opportunity to get up on your own to finish, because you never know. Someone else could fall further around the track. So basically, if you're not injured, get up, get on your bike, finish it. Your helmet obviously still on, it's still strapped, everything's good. Next, if you get relegated, DQ by the USA BMX rules, you'll be scored last plus 2 points. So basically, it's the same thing as a DNS is what you get if you're DQ'd for something. Or relegated. They don't like DQ'd. Relegated.
So, on the racing, let's talk about what could get you relegated. No deliberate interference. So if they feel that you're blocking a rider or have moved over on a rider, force them off the track, that's going to be called interference, and obviously forcing off the track is clearly that. So both of those could cause that to happen, and most of the UCI infractions that they look for, first 30 feet and the last straightaway, just like you're used to in USA BMX rules.
That being said, there isn't a 30-foot rule. There is no 30-foot rule in UCI.
Right, but they still, when they call an interference, that's where it's going to be.
It would be something forceful, right? Mm-hmm. But as far as no team riding, no talking to USA team riders on the track. So a lot of times people, you'll hear them when I'm walking by, people talking to each other on the track, and usually it's because they're both in qualifying position, and they're just kind of BSing because they're friends or whatever. But you can't do that. They take that very, very serious at the World Championships and just don't want to hear anything out there.
If you're talking to another U.S. rider in a turn, they may call that team riding. Mm-hmm. So we just want everybody to get out there and race and come back to the pits and talk. So we'll get into some of the staff members here, and I'm sure many of you have some questions, and you can start typing those into the YouTube comments there. We've already got a lot, so we'll be starting with those. But first, before we get there, let's talk about who we have. So we kind of talked, obviously, about some different areas of support that we'll have. Mechanics was one of them and what they'll do. But we're going to have Jim Buchanan from Throwdown. So most of you have probably seen Throwdown at the races. He's usually under that tent working on a bike.
Was there last year? Yeah. Jim was actually with us in Columbia last year, and we were lucky enough to have him again this year as well.
Yep.
The other ones we have here are Bill Morris and Woody Woodruff from our staff. A lot of you guys have seen Bill down at the finish line and spoke with him probably pleasantly in regards to videos or any calls on the track. Bill's also an avid cyclist, has many years of experience. What a lot of you may not know is usually after we get done on Saturday at running a national, he goes out and rides 30 miles on his mountain bike. His knowledge is great.
He's got a lot of experience on working on bikes.
Yeah.
He likes to change parts a lot.
Yes.
So his wife Jen can attest to that. And then Woody, most of you have seen him at our indoor builds. What you guys may not know about him is he's quite the machinist and can build a lot of parts and obviously has been machining bikes and parts and can pretty much do anything on a bike too. So between those three, we've got quite a power team of mechanics that are going to be available to handle things quickly if we've got a problem on a bike. So from the medical side of things, we've got athletic trainers coming on our end. Obviously, you're at the Novant Health BMX Supercross track. Novant Health will be providing the medical coverage for the event. So if your rider is seen in the medical tent, one of our trainers will end up there to then assist and get some answers and find out what's going on and then get that information to the parents and ultimately, if need be, get the parents down to the medical center. But beyond that, they're going to be back in the team pit area doing anything that needs to get done for these riders, from stretching to massages to assessment of maybe an injury that did happen on the track but wasn't seen at medical. And of course, if they need to, they'll get them over to medical. But so we've got from Summit Athletics, which provides some medical coverage at a few of our West Coast nationals. Las Vegas, they're there both times. Black Mountain, they've been a lot of places. So we've got Mike, Brandon, and Mark. Those three come to us as USA BMX guys that work a lot of our races. And then to head up with them is Eddie Casillas. So some of you may know him from the Alpine Stars medical crew. He runs onto that track during motocross and supercross, and he's out there at nearly all of their events. He's going to be taking the weekend off and coming to BMX for us. So he will be under that tent also. So between those four, you've got kind of an all-star crew watching after your kids. So coaches.
So we've got, myself and Cody Wilson from here at USA BMX. We're obviously going to be on the coaching staff and the manager's position, as well as Jeff Glenn and Kenneth Fallon from USA Cycling side of things. Justin Travis from the Ohio Dream side of things. Looks like we have here on the next up, we have Tyler Whitfield, Pro Rider Throwdown.
So we've got Dave Stowe. Most of you might not really know who he is, but he was at the USOC and the Chula Vista Training Center through all the last 3 Olympics and Olympic qualifiers and everything, and traveled with us last year to Colombia as part of the Team USA. He's actually a previous Olympian himself.
Yes.
On a USA team. So he's in the game, and he's still at the Chula Vista Center. So then we've got some parents and riders that are going to be assisting. Most of these parents have either had a child race many worlds, have raced many worlds themselves, or really actually that sums it up right there. So we've got Jerry Pardue, Scott Moreland. Jerry, obviously, his daughter's raced a whole lot of world championships. Scott Moreland has been to a ton of world championships. Rachel has raced a couple decades, so, and has a daughter herself that she watches out for racing. So she'll be there assisting. Devin Wilson, that's my wife. She's been to quite a few worlds herself, made some mains there, and again, been racing a long time. So Stephen Adams from Grand Junction, Colorado, the Grand Valley BMX track. He's also going to be there assisting us. Janice Kitchen, her son has raced a lot of world championships, and Carly Young herself has raced world championships. She helped out in Zolder. She raced a lot in Colombia, but again, when she wasn't racing, she was helping us. So she's now on board as a coach.
Down at the end, also the 2 other support groups that we have here are Connie Shepler and Mara Fade from USA BMX. I'm thinking we're going to get in that into a little bit, but these 2, what they're going to be doing is basically we've deemed them as what? What have we named them?
Yeah, we keep coming up with different names for them, but they're going to be overall kind of team moms, handling everything we can, from their nutrition to the water to keeping the pit area clean to helping the little ones. They're just going to be all around in the pit area helping out, and obviously their first concern is going to be keeping those coolers full, getting water, making sure everybody's got snacks and fruit and different things. So we'll talk about some of that and what they'll be doing a little bit later. So that's questions, which some of this will stop and kind of explain some things to you. So we've got some questions that came in over the last week. And some of these will go fast. Others, again, we'll stop and kind of explain what we'll be doing during the team pit area, and that'll help clear things up. So if you've got a question, maybe just hang on to it here for a little bit. We've got a good 20 questions probably loaded in here. Should we send a chair with our little ones? We are going to have chairs and tables. They're given to us, they're regulated basically by, again, UCI and Rock Hill. So they will be providing, they have a ratio of tables to chairs based on the rider count. So we'll be working with them over the next couple of weeks to find out what that total is. We may be sourcing some additional ones. But yeah, feel free, especially on the little ones, if you've got those smaller chairs for the little kids, send them in. We'll set them up, and they'll know which chair's theirs, and they can keep their stuff by it.
When will you get to talk to our riders? So basically, like we were saying, that parent zone that they have there, what we ask is basically right after their race, right after each of their motos, they can swing by that parent zone and talk briefly for a little debrief. I mean, we're talking about just stopping by for a minute, talking, and then getting on back over to the pits. We encourage that to happen after every moto. And when you get further in the rounds, with the 8s and quarters, same thing. Just know, like we're saying, that we're talking about 30 minutes in between rounds. If we have them there, and we're talking 30 minutes from gate drop to gate drop. Mm-hmm. So basically, getting them to the back of the pits is crucial to make sure they're hydrated. Hydrate to dominate. Getting them ready to get back up there and get back in staging and get going again.
When will we find out who is my child's coach? We obviously just gave you the coaching list. We are working through waiting for the practice schedule for UCI. And at that point, we will then be able to see what we have to break out for practices. So we'll stop and kind of answer that right now, that UCI obviously does not have a detailed country practice schedule yet. We do not have an answer whether we will have one large session of 2 to 3 hours or whether we will have multiple smaller sessions. If it's smaller sessions, we will obviously break up into age groups. Either way, we'll be breaking up into age groups somehow, some way. But if we end up in smaller practice sessions, we will break those up into age groups, and then that will help us decide the coaching ratio, and obviously those coaches will then continue on with those riders on their race day. So to answer who your child's coach is, we don't know that yet. We obviously just listed all the coaches so you know who it could be, but actual age determination, we'll get that as we get close to the event, and everybody will then know.
What exactly is the role of the coach? This year is going to be a little different with it being in the States and the high numbers of riders. The first and foremost thing that the coach needs to be doing is making sure that the riders get to staging, especially in the younger ages. Make sure they get to staging and get through staging securely to make sure they're ready to go for their race. In the motos, you're basically going through that when they get back. If there's any kind of information they want to talk about, you talk about it with them. If you see anything that could have been better out there, you go over that with them. Obviously, there's more time as the rounds progress. Cody, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. As we get a little deeper into the race, we get a little bit more time. We can work with the riders. We're going to get everybody we just listed obviously has some sort of strategy. They've all been through this before. They know what could be happening. Gate pick, all of those things become a factor. So they'll talk it out with these kids as we get past rounds and continue into quarters and semis and mains, and we'll try to make the best decisions we can with your child. We've all been there before, and we know what it is. Will the youngest ones in particular be given a verbal warning about using the restroom? So the young classes, we've got specific people kind of already in mind and maybe even set aside for some of those classes. some of the things I didn't mention about some of the staff members we have is we've got a couple nurses on staff. We've got some people that are teachers. We've got every variation of that where they're dealing with these type of situations and young kids, very young kids, 4 and 5 and 6 years old. My wife particularly works at a children's hospital, so she deals with them all the way up. So we do have some people that are skilled in helping young ones with this, and we will not only give restroom breaks and kind of almost force them to go before we get into staging. Last year, I'm sure any of the parents you talked to in the 5 and 6 class can let you know that their kids probably were perfectly fine, because I think we might have bugged the kids so much because we kept taking them over to the restroom.
Right.
Shay Glenn was with that class last year, and personally took them all to the restroom over there, made sure that they used it before she got them into staging, because obviously once you're there, it becomes a lot harder.
Will they be brought to the bathroom as a group? Last year they did go as a group. We'll leave that in the hands of the coach of that age group. If I was coaching that age group, that's what I would suggest doing is, let's try to go as a group and we're all going there. And then everybody's accounted for. Obviously with the 5 to 7 year olds, you've got to really, really pay attention to them and kind of keep them focused. We're aware that, of how difficult that can be at times. And rest assured that we're gonna have it in place and make sure that we give every opportunity to make sure they get to the bathroom.
Yeah, and just to clarify, these restrooms are in the team pit zone. They're in the team area, so it's not like they're going to be leaving a credentialed area every time. They're safe. They're in this credentialed area. They can't get out without their bike and them. So, it's not much different than if you're at a USA BMX race and the Porta Johns are the row over from your tent. And usually the kids go over there and handle that. So we will obviously assist them, get them over there, and come back as best as we can in a group. And that's where Connie and Mara can come in sometimes. If we've got a big group of people that are going to go, they'll go with them and make sure people come back together. When and how can we get a complete rider count that is registered for our particular age group? So we'd love that too, but UCI just is not going to provide that. Their registration process, as far as payments and different things, they have a long process, and it really doesn't end until just about a week and a half, 2 weeks before the race. So at that point, they'll obviously have complete rider counts. In the past years, there are some years they do release that, and you actually see a complete start list. I don't assume anything will be any different this year, so expect to see that start list mid-July, so a couple more weeks here, and it will have really the start list complete, every rider that's racing in every class. So not only will you know the rider count, but you'll know the riders in that class.
It's just one of those things, like you're saying, it's out of our control.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Which goes back to, like we said, the UCI runs this race. We're here with you going in as Team USA.
Given that it's only 10 and under for that day of racing, how long do they anticipate it lasting? Well, let's start with, we do not know if it's 10 and under for that day. Okay, so I know that's out there a lot. We're not aware of that. I'll be honest with you, our prediction, to be honest with you, is 11. Is it?
Yeah,
Cody?
we've looked at numbers for our own classes, and we think that they're going to have to cut somewhere around 12 years old. Whether that be 11, 12, or 13 is unknown. It could be 10 and under also. Anything's in the game right now. I don't know if they want to try to do more on Wednesday and less on Thursday, or how they want to try to do this race. And again, that's completely up to them. When they release that final schedule mid-July, which will be after they release the start list, they will break that down.
Yeah, and I'll give you more information on that too. So the head guy from UCI, he was at Rock Hill this year. A lot of people think that they're going off number of riders. That's not the case in the World Championships. What they do on that is that he was there timing different age groups to see how long it took to do a lap at Rock Hill. From there, they take the numbers and they put it in with the average times to decide how many riders they're going to do. So everything is supposed to finish around the same time each day, with exception to the last day that has many, many less riders and of a lot higher speeds. But yeah, that's what they try to do. He explained that to us in a meeting we were at after Rock Hill, that he was there timing the riders to try to decide, once they get the numbers in, what the class breaks would be. What we can tell you is the race will not go past 10 p.m.
Yeah, we've been told that racing will be, they haven't really came up with an actual start time or gates open time either in the morning, but we were told that they will end by 10 p.m. Should we plan to send our children with coolers, chairs, blankets? How will they carry everything in? So, we'll address that kind of one at a time. Coolers, if you've got a small igloo, one of those ones that holds a 6-pack of cans, then that's going to be acceptable. Chairs, blankets, again, we already addressed the chair thing. If you'd like to send in a small chair, that's fine. They can set it up in their age group area. Blankets, that's fine too if they want to sit on one or lay on one. I would hope, I'm guessing in Rock Hill, nobody's going to want to use a blanket over them. But if for some reason you need to, that's fine too. Also know that anything medical related, our guys will have tables and not gurneys, massage tables or like adjustment tables to lay on over there if they're going to deal with a stretching thing or whatever. So blankets, as far as to lay on the grass for stretching, that's probably not necessary. How will they carry everything in? You can bring it in through the rider entrance gate. The young ones, we had the coaches out there last year meeting those kids and obviously helping get everything in. This is a real team effort. I can tell you that myself, being a rider in all these years, when you see a USA jersey heading into the pits and it's a 5 and 6 year old, and they're gonna, the parents got a bunch of stuff and they're gonna make 2 trips, you're gonna find these older riders. They're gonna grab their stuff and help your kid get on in there. But again, the younger class, the younger day, our coaches are going to be at that rider credential gate meeting them.
It's basically a handoff from the parent.
And I mean, you're going to hand that kid off. He's going to go through the credentialing. They'll scan his bike. They'll scan his wristband. And we're right there on the other side to take everything.
How do we know our kids will make it from the check-in gate to the team pit? How big is the team pit? Okay, so that Cody just hit on that as far as like how do we know they'll make it there. For the younger kids, obviously we're going to be, we're going to be out there helping them get in, and having the parent hand off basically dropping off, at school or anything like that. The bigger kids, we feel very confident they're going to be able to find our pit area. Rest assured, our pit area is going to scream USA. Okay, I mean, we're going to blow that thing up with as many flags and much red, white, and blue as we could possibly get on there.
And to help us out on the younger ones, send them in with their jersey on. It's going to look a little weird if a USA rider is in the French pit. We're going to realize he's in the wrong spot and go get him. So, the little ones, if they come with their jersey on or already dressed, which I assume they would, that we're going to spot these guys out and corral them in. And our team area is going to be the biggest country pit in that area. So it shouldn't be hard to find us. And again, Chris Luna has plans to decorate us.
Yeah, and how big is the team pit? So basically, again, I'm going to go there. I'm going there Thursday on the way to Charlotte. I'm in Rock Hill all day Thursday, and that's going to be some of the things we're going to be going over. Is our location of our pit area, how big it's going to be, where we're going to place it in regards to getting back and forth to where the riders need to be, and etc. The bathrooms, I've already got that in my mind too. Where the bathrooms placed compared to our pit area. All that's going to be something that I'm going to be doing on Thursday at Rock Hill. All right, we want to know about when our kids can meet up with others to exchange jerseys. Okay, this is one of my highlights right here, and we'll go over this again in the actual team meeting that'll be on Sunday after the first day of practice. There's going to be plenty of time to exchange jerseys. Trust me when I say every country wants a USA jersey. There's not going to be an issue. They can have the pick of the litter on whatever country they want. What we ask is there will be no jersey exchanges in our pit area until after the day of racing is completed. So let's say if they're the younger age group and they're racing that day, no jerseys will be traded out until the race is done that day with our riders.
And when we say that, what we mean is, the other countries will come to our tent asking for riders, and we will be asking those countries not to enter our tent, mainly because we've still got riders that need to focus on their mains. But as every rider finishes their day, they then kind of find someone that they race during the day or friends, and make that exchange. And they can do that at any time, after their racing's done and they want to relinquish that jersey. And you can do it in the bleachers. You don't have to do it in the pit area. or team area.
Yeah, we just ask that racing be the priority, and again, we just don't want all the other. We're not going to have all the other countries in our pit area during race times.
Our coaches assigned by age group class. So we pretty much already addressed that. They will be. We're going to have a coach for every age group. So obviously each day we've got a certain amount of classes that need to be ran. We've got the right amount of coaches for that. And if some are wondering why the staff list is coordinated the way it is, UCI only gives so many credentials for a team, regardless. We actually filled out some paperwork earlier this year and did what they call a derogation. And we filed that with UCI and received additional credentials. So in total, Team USA has 23 credentials for staff. So of those names we gave you, that gets us right to 23. So between all of us, we're it. But with those numbers, we've got enough for one person per age group. Can my child bring a small ice chest, chair, backpack, toys? So similar question to the previous one. Again, small ice chest, small chair, that's fine. Backpack, yeah, we encourage a gear bag or backpacks. You can keep everything in there. Small toys are fine. I saw a lot of kids last year. Game Boys, Nintendo Wii's, the little fidget spinners are the new thing. Whatever it is, that's fine. Put it in there. That'll help our coaches kind of keep people corralled, because obviously if they're sitting there playing with that, we know exactly where they are. Will the rider area be covered and shaded? So again, we talked about the team pit area. Each country is given a space. It is covered, and it's fenced in. So that's our area. So it should be shaded. We've been told that there will be fans under there. Don't worry, we will get fans if there are not fans provided. So either way, there will be fans under there. There's also possibility of some cooling systems under there. So it is going to be covered and shaded.
Yeah, I've been in contact with the porta-cooler guy today already, and the thing with the porta-cooler, and we've talked with our medical team as well about just making sure that the riders, we don't want riders sitting in basically an air conditioned area. It's hot outside, we want to be in that situation. So what we've talked about with actually Mike, one of the guys on our medical team is we're going to try to put the porta-cooler in the medical area of the tent, and if he feels someone's overheated and needs air, the medical team will control how long they're able to sit in front of that porta-cooler.
And again, that medical team will be able to watch all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. These guys come from high-end stuff, so yeah. Eddie himself has to watch over Ryan Dungey and those kind of guys. So probably no problem that they can address these things.
Can our child take a phone with them into their rider area? That way we can talk to them throughout the day. Sure. There's no problem with taking the phone in. A lot of times it may have the music on it or whatever too to keep them occupied.
So phones, that's not a problem. The games help us too, because again, it keeps them sitting there. We know exactly where they are because they're sitting there playing that game until we tell them to go. But the one thing we ask you is don't just stay on the phone with them or continue to call them, because again, if we need to get them focused and get them into staging and you're calling them constantly, that's going to hinder our job.
In the event of a wreck, will someone be checking their bike, working on their bikes to make sure they are race ready? Yes. If the first thing we do, and you won't hear it, but on our radio frequencies, all the coaches and managers will have radios on. The first thing you hear, usually it's Jeff Glenn jumping there saying, "Hey, listen, check out that bike. It looks like it took a hit to the front, or something on the pedal area, or something like that." That's immediate. That's radioed back to the pit area. Then the mechanics are ready to go. The bikes get back there. They give them a once-over to make sure everything's ready to go for their next round. It's all fast paced last year, at least in Columbia, getting those bikes back there and make sure they were good to go.
Yeah, so in that same concept, we just talked about the coaches and having one for every age group. In addition to that, some of these coaches, myself, Chris, or Jeff Glenn, will spend some time in the team managers area, which we've got a view of the track from there, and we'll just be in there watching races and calling it like we see it. If we have a USA rider down, we're going to let our medical team know that we have a rider headed back that did fall, so they can check on him. One of the medical guys will actually be doing the same thing we are, kind of an eagle eye to the track and watching that. If it gets to a point where the rider is not getting up, we are allowed to send out one representative to the track with the medical staff that's out there attending to them. That will be one of the trainers, of our trainers, headed out there to check on that. And again, he'll be radioing things back. We will be radioing all this back. If we see a bike take a hit in a crash and we feel it needs to be checked, we're going to be sending that information back. What happens if a rider gets a flat? Well, exactly that. Those mechanics are gonna fix it. Should I send my child with a spare tube? That would be fine. We are gonna have tubes and all the general kind of parts to replace things. You know, a small supply of chains, tubes, brake cables. Those simple things that happen. If you have tubes, sure, put one in your child's gear bag. We can always use that one. And if you have a special type of tire or a special type of tube, of course, put something spare in there. Yeah, if you've got an odd size, anything like that, send those kind of parts in.
At which point exactly are our kids 100% on their own in staging? You know, that's something that's kind of up for question now, too.
Yeah, we find out things like this during the team manager meeting on Saturday when we get there and pick up credentials. So when we do a walkthrough, and this isn't a public walkthrough, this is only for the team managers, and they'll walk through, we'll have a team managers meeting, they'll show us the different areas, just like you guys, we will have credentialing points where we can't go any further either. In Columbia, for example, there were 4 different sets of staging, and on the final set we weren't allowed past that point either. So we had staff members all the way through that with moto sheets, just like a regular national, and we were actually kind of checking staging and checking the lanes to make sure our riders were in there. At that last point when they head in, then at that point they are in UCI's hands and in UCI officials to get them in. And of course the younger classes, they are very diligent about checking bike numbers and lining these guys up. So, and if they are missing someone, they're going to be looking for them.
Another good thing too is it's going to be familiar faces in that staging area that you're used to seeing at nationals.
Yeah, they've hired some of the officials that work at USA BMX races to work at this race.
Is there someone making sure the youngest ones get in the right chute and then out onto the gate at the right time? So basically, once again, you know, they're going to do everything they can to get you there. Will the coach be able to take them all the way to the gate? Absolutely not.
No. So that someone is a UCI official.
Right.
If there is an issue concern, will the coaches have our cell numbers to contact us? So when you registered, we did ask for a separate mobile number and an email you'd like to be contacted at. So we will have that list of cell phone numbers there. Again, if these issues come up, I'm going to guess most likely, hopefully we never have to do this, but it would be a medical issue in most cases. Those are the concerns, an issue that we probably will come to first if we were to have any. And again, our medical guys will have all of that information in their hands. We will also have a radio system out to the bleachers, and there'll be a USA representative in the bleachers to find this person.
Yeah. When will we know specifically which day our kid will be riding?
So a lot of these were scheduled questions. That's exactly that. We don't have that answer. Once the entry list has closed and they publish that final start list, they will come to a conclusion on who will be racing each day. I'm sorry, but we
want it to.
We tried. We asked UCI. We asked a bunch of different ways, you know, to try to come to a conclusion of how they were going to be doing it. And obviously, we got that answer of it all boils down to how much they can run each day. So they're going to decide that once they have the start list.
Are spectator tickets required for the practice day? To our knowledge, no. They're selling tickets for race days. You know, so but to our knowledge, and that's another question that I'll get answered for sure on Thursday when I'm on site. But to our knowledge, there'll be no charge to come watch practice.
And if we get an answer different than no, you know, if we get an answer that there is a ticket for that, not only will we find out how to purchase that ticket, but we'll send that info out. So if you don't hear anything different from us, it sounds like it's a free day. In past years, I can't remember a race but one over the past decade that charged for practice days, and it was really just an entry pass for the whole time. Beyond that, everybody has usually had practice sessions as open. It's not a ticketed event those days, and I don't see anything that says differently. And again, they don't have a ticket for sale that day, which tells me you don't need one.
Correct.
So that $50 pass, of course, it's going to include practice because it's a pass for the week, and we don't think that practice has a fee. We're going to skip the next one. It's will the practice and race schedule be posted? We kind of already, again, the practice schedule is related to the countries, and they're not going to give us any of that information until July.
This next one, how much downtime, interaction time is there after the race? What will they be doing during this time? The same thing. We're guessing about 30 minutes from round to round. That's basically from the time they get across the finish line to the time they have to go back in the gate again. Obviously, that won't be much time in the pit area, like we've discussed. A lot of that time will be spent in staging.
Will warm-up sprints be able to take place? So the team pit area is outside. You got to imagine the team pit area kind of like the factory pits that you see at a national, where they've got aisles and everybody has an area and that's their team area. Well, it's the same back there, but everybody's split into countries. So there are aisles. Rock Hill has told us there's going to be an area where you can do a sprint or a warm-up or circle around. We haven't seen what their final verdict on where that area is. We saw some ideas. We told them it might not be long enough, so they were going to make some adjustments. So as far as stuff like this, it's all related to the venue. Once we see the final venue, Chris is going to try to get that info Thursday, but again, even when he gets there, you know, when we do the first walkthrough, when we pick up our credentials and they do the team managers meeting, they will show us those kind of things. And again, Sunday and Mondays, Sunday, Monday are practice days, so not much sprinting or warm-up needs to take place. They'll be practicing that whole time. And by then we'll have had the team meeting on Sunday night and give you that information of what we know of where that will be.
Do we set up the kids with food and snacks for the day? Here's the deal, you know, if there's something certain, you know, you want to make sure your kid has certain kind of food, that there's something they eat or something that they drink or snack on, send it in with them. We will have some stuff in there as far as beverages go, as well as, you know, some kind of a nutrition bar, fruits, stuff of that nature, you know, peanut butter sandwiches that are cut into pieces.
Nutrition bars of some sort, energy drinks, anything energy related, some granola, you know, we'll have
energy drinks.
You know, I'm sorry, not you know, what am I looking for? Amino acids, things like that. If you give your kids those type of things, you got to send them in. We won't have that, you know, very specific type of things. If your kid uses a certain supplement or likes a certain energy bar, things like that, it's totally fine that you throw a couple in his bag. Again, the coaches, as long as that kid knows that bar's in his bag, you know, the coach will help them get all that stuff going. What if our child has dietary restrictions? So any sort of allergies or any sort of restriction, that's all going to be addressed on Saturday when you pick up your packet. There'll be a table where you can, it's going to be the medical table. They'll be able to take down any allergies you want us to know about, whether it's food or medication. And if it's a food allergy, we'll be giving the rider a secondary wristband in addition to the credential wristband that they'll be wearing, that will then alert Connie and Mara and really any of our coaches that he does have a food allergy and what that food allergy is.
Will there be unsupervised food snacks in the pit area? The answer to that would be no on this one. Mara and Connie will be manning tables, plural tables in the actual pit area, and they will be controlling the food, whether it be fruit, you know, the peanut butter sandwich we spoke of, the nutrition bars, all that. They'll be the ones actually giving that out, and then therefore they'll be seeing the wristband. If there is an allergy or something like that, they can make sure.
Yeah, and all of our coaches back there's 23 of them that'll be in that pit area. You know, if we see anyone with a wristband on, we're going to kind of question what it is they're eating or what it is they're allergic to.
Right. what is the hydration process and protocol? Basically, we want to hydrate to dominate. We want to make sure with the heats and humidity the way they are, we want to make sure all the riders are properly hydrated. Obviously, the medical staff, as we keep going back to, is very, very trained in seeing if someone's looking, peaked per se and need more hydration.
Yeah, those guys are crucial in some of this, and they'll work with us. And if a coach even begins to think the person is having a hydration problem, we're going to get Mike or Brandon or Eddie or Mark or one of those guys over to take a look at him or talk to him, and again, encourage people to continue to hydrate. So all of that is in place. All the coaches, obviously, that age group coach will then be addressing those first concerns. Will riders need to provide and bring their own lunch and dinner for race day? Very similar stuff. I mean, if you want your rider to eat a specific meal or sandwich, I don't think dinner is going to be necessary. If racing gets to be that long, it's going to be main events or semis. And I, personally, as a rider, and all the worlds I've been to, or even USA BMX or ABA races, back in the early days of my racing, I don't know that I would want any dinner at main time. If that's different for your kid, you're more than welcome to send in some food or things like that, but there isn't an actual lunch that's provided. So, are the jerseys shipping to you? They are not. You pick them up at the event. That's part of the packet pickup that we described in the latest email. That happens at the Winthrop University. They have a Winthrop Coliseum there. We know that the address that we gave you is the university. The Coliseum has like a different road address, but it doesn't actually have a street address. I'm trying to get an actual pinpointed location, and we'll update that. But it is on the property of that Winthrop University, which is the address we gave you. The Coliseum is just a little bit to the
it's the basketball
southwest, I think, is what it is of the actual address. But again, if you make it to the university, you're going to find the Coliseum. Should I notify that the address given in newsletter number 1 for the Winthrop Coliseum is incorrect? Yeah, we knew that going out. It's just that's kind of the pinpoint location. We will update when we get a beacon or whatever we can place on that pinpoint address to get you a little bit better address. But Chris and I went and looked at that arena a few months ago with Shannon Gillette, and the three of us drove up to the call. Well, we addressed to the Coliseum, and as we were driving there, we said, "Oh, this must be the arena." We pulled on in, so it's not hard to find. We'll have signage there also from the arena, from the university entrance all the way to the Coliseum. It's on the same road, but we'll do that.
Are there porta-johns or actual permanent bathrooms on site? There's actually going to be porta-johns. That's what the riders will be using, as well as you guys in the stands. There'll be porta-johns placed all around. Like Cody was saying earlier, there will be porta-johns in the team area. My goal is to Thursday check that out again and actually try to make sure that we are close as we can be.
Yeah, one thing to explain with that is I know the permanent restroom thing came up probably because some of you know that Rock Hill has probably the greatest permanent restrooms in BMX. That whole area is inaccessible really to us and the public. That's kind of what they consider their credentialed area where the UCI has their offices set up, and they're going to be doing a lot of the logistics for the event back there. So none of that area is accessible. One of the first things we read to you tonight was the pump track will not be open. That's because from what our understanding is you won't even be able to see that pump track because there's going to be so many trucks and trailers parked in there.
It's going to have a stage over it, basically, is what they were kind of saying, and a lot of the stuff would be there. Yeah. Anyone going to be taking pictures?
So again, that's UCI credentialed photo people. Anybody that our current people, BMX News, Mike Caruth,
Jerry Landrum,
Gork, Gmo, all of our locals here in the USA BMX office that take pictures. They've all applied for credentials. Again, we don't know what UCI is giving for credentials or who's getting them, so I couldn't tell you who will be taking the pictures. But they usually do take event pictures, put them up for sale or download somewhere. I can't ever say whether they're free or not. best place to watch is bleachers. If eliminated during the rounds, this is opposite to what we've been told by vets, which was regardless of finish, riders have to stay with the team. Well, this was the case last year. We asked people to move along, and it's not to kick you out or change. But yes, I mean, especially in the older classes, if you're finished, you probably don't want to be back there anymore. And with 200 plus riders a day, having to be back there, the more room we can get for the riders that are in the mains are great. Personally, I don't know why any rider would want to sit in a chair in the back of the team pits while racing's continuing, and they're not racing anymore. They would literally just be sitting there.
Yeah, we just think that's an issue. Like I said, last year, once they were done, as Cody was saying, we just had them go ahead and their parents, like if they were the younger kids, we had them actually meet their kid at the credential area and went ahead and walked them back out with their stuff and let them go ahead and actually we didn't even walk them with stuff. We let their bikes and stuff stay there and let them just walk their body
because,
out.
The bike thing on your race day, it's already in there. If you want to go out and be in the bleachers, that's fine. So we're going to ask you to probably set up a plan with your child that if he is eliminated, that you'll be down at the credential gate to get him and get him up to the bleachers and enjoy the rest of the day of racing.
Are side plates and bike stickers handed out with number plates and packet pickup? So basically, like we were saying on this thing, once you come to the Saturday night packet pickup, we will be handing you your number plate, your side plates, and all your stickers, wristbands, everything you need. We will give you that night.
So for a little deeper explanation, UCI will be giving that stuff to us on Saturday. So it's not like we get it any sooner. Part of credentialing pickup is that the managers pick these things up. And that's why we will have them for you Saturday night. So we'll pick them up from UCI. We will then resort, obviously alphabetized, and get those fixed up so that during pickup we can get all that to you. And UCI has a pretty complex method to do that, and that's all on our end. We'll pick everything up and do rider confirmation.
Ultimately, if necessary, get the parents down to the med area. Any guidelines of what type of injuries would necessitate parent involvement or not? Basically, as Cody said, the Novot Health team will be the first responders to any kind of injuries. From there, they'll take them to basically the triage center, and then from there, if necessary, that's whenever our trainers go into effect.
Yeah, if it's something that the medical team that's doing the event feels that they would like a representative because they're going to need either further questioning. Well, for instance, last year we needed someone down there to speak English to the rider because we were in a foreign country. So this year that won't be the case, but they still usually ask for a USA representative to go down there. That will be one of our trainers. And if at any point they think it may be a little more involved and they need a parent down there, then that's what we will be requesting you.
Are the side number plates actual number plates? Is it rider responsibility to provide? Okay, so basically, again, this is just another question of the same thing. No, those are supplied to you. They're not an actual number plate per se.
Yeah, it looks like a number plate, but it's a sticker, and they're going to ask you to stick it right on the head tube of your frame by the headset. We'll have an explanation. Usually they put something in the kit during the pickup that kind of explains where it goes, but when you grab it, it's pretty obvious where it goes. But again, we will assist you if you show up Sunday for practice without it. You won't be able to get on the track, so we'll make sure we get that on. But we can help you there in the pit, or during pickup on Saturday, we'll also have some signage showing how to put it on or where it goes.
Will racing be done in blocks like?
We don't have any confirmation that in Auckland they blocked out. I was there. I kind of forget exactly what they did, but they basically ran. Great Britain did this too. They ran the motos in the morning, maybe quarters, semis, or something like that, and then they took a break and then came back and ran the semis and the mains as part of like a night show. That will not be happening here in Rock Hill. I don't think they're going to have the time to do, split something up like that. We haven't had any indication that that's going to be the case. The schedule doesn't look to show that. So again, until that final schedule comes out, My answer is I don't think that they're doing it. I don't see any reason or have heard anything that they would be doing something like that.
That's it.
So, any more questions? Shoot them on in, because we're going to wrap up here and finish off. One of the things that Rock Hill wanted to let us know too is that they did create an app in the App Store. So Google Play or Apple, both the iOS and the Google Play, go into those app stores, and if you just search 2017 BMX Worlds, it should pop up. Everybody here in the office grabbed it yesterday. It search BMX Worlds or 2017 BMX Worlds. It's going to show up. So the cool thing about that is they're going to be pushing notifications. There is a current schedule posted, but again, that schedule doesn't reflect any more than what we all have already seen on the UCI website. There are some added things in there as far as some things Rock Hill is doing during each day. So we can encourage you to download that. Please do. They'll be pushing any sort of weather notifications, anything, event information in there. So you'll see one of the things on their schedule is they've got a opening kind of festivity. I don't know what to dub it really. It's called a opening ceremony.
Opening ceremony, 6 to 6:30.
But it's more kind of a get together, food trucks, all kinds of stuff. So that's on their calendar. But anything related to credentialing, pickup, and stuff like that, that's all for team managers. That's not stuff that you guys will need to be involved in. So, can you explain more how there is no 30-foot rule, but you mentioned infractions within 30 feet? Well, it's exactly that. Chris Luna said, they don't have specifically that rule, but that doesn't mean that they don't look for infractions or people blocking or people moving over. So, and what we meant by that and what we said by that is most of the time when they call any infraction due to blocking, they're going to do that in that 30-foot range, because that's the area they're looking, and that's the area that it can happen most frequently. So we were just letting you know that there is no specific 30-foot rule, but that you shouldn't really change how you race, because if you block someone or move over too much on someone, they could call it, but definitely.
Basically, if you move over and make someone fall.
Yeah.
Basically is what you're looking at. I mean, Rubbins Racing, but just know that your riders, it's not like at USA BMX races, you don't have to stay straight, and it's not illegal to impede the progress per se. They're looking for something that's pretty bad, when you come over.
Yeah. They'll allow you to impede someone's progress.
Right.
In a sense, until it becomes a point where they feel it's just too much.
Yeah, when it comes to safety issue.
Yeah. So I don't see any other questions coming in. We'll give it a couple minutes here. Again, I think we went through the app. That's a good thing to download. As far as what's coming from us, tomorrow we're going to send you an email, kind of recap some things we mentioned here, and then attach the things that Rock Hill would like you to know. We read that at the very beginning for some of you that were missing. Don't worry, we're going to email that out. And then coming up just about every week, you should get an email too from us with a little bit of information as we get it. Obviously, as soon as we get the schedule from UCI, we will email everybody and give them that information. And then that'll start to gear us up to get our final staffing plans in place on who's going to handle which class and all that good stuff. As far as the team meeting, packet pickup, you got all that information in the last email.
Jerseys are starting to roll in. If any of you guys are in Phoenix and want to swing by the office and help pack up some jerseys, we're here.
So if you just go back.
That was a joke.
Yeah. I mean, we could use the help, but in that, I mean, jerseys is one of those things that it's complicated here in the office. We've got 2,700 some jerseys. Of course, Chris is we're both wearing ours. Ours are short sleeve because we're gonna stay fairly cool, hopefully, while we're helping the riders, and we've got a lot of jerseys here to pack, but unfortunately it doesn't mean we can ship any or get any out to anybody any earlier, because with the print process, it's just quite tricky how they're coming in. So we are bagging, packing, sorting, and doing all that stuff. So over the next few weeks, this entire USA BMX office will be assisting with that. They may not know yet, but
They will be.
We're gonna have an army in here helping. So with that, I mean, we've got all of the coaches that we listed as part of our staff members, but we've got, you know, Gmo is helping a lot. Obviously, he's running this show for us right now. This entire staff is really part of Team USA this year. So everybody here, nobody can wait to get to that date and get everybody out there racing, and hopefully let's bring home some titles.
Exactly. Make no bone about it. We're ready to go and represent USA. You know, we're ready to go and win as much as possible. It's in the home country. We want to make sure we represent. That's another thing too. You know, in the stands, you know, I can't wait to hear how everyone acts in the stands. You know, it was loud last year in Columbia, but with the numbers we have and the chance of USA that we're going to hear during this event, man, there's nothing like it, and I'm pumped.
Yeah, it's all team effort. So remember, this office will be cheering for you guys, and we want to hear the bleachers roar USA when we have riders out there.
We've got some surprises coming with that too to get you guys louder.
We're going to do as much as we can to make sure everybody is aware that they're in USA's house this year.
Yeah. Again, there's some items going to come out that's going to help with the noise.
I was in 2001 in Louisville, which that's the last time the BMX World Championships were in the United States. So it's been a long time that Team USA has been visiting a lot of other countries. So it's our turn to not only host everybody else and be a good host as USA people, and you see it already as people come over for USA Nationals. Most everybody's real friendly and do the same, but when it comes to race time, we're going to let them know that we are here in the USA, and they're in our house this year.
Yep, everyone's there obviously to try to win a title individually, but we're there as a team, and you know, as many USA jerseys as we can get in those mains and have a shot at it. That's what the goal is here.
So, if we got no other questions coming through,
Perfect.
that means we must have solved everybody's problems tonight.
Perfect.
We'll have some more emails. We may have one more webcast here as we get close. If we get a lot of information that we want to relay out, that changes from what we gave today. So,
any other questions? Feel free to email Cody or myself, or just the Worlds at USA BMX.
Worlds at USABMX.com is best because there's 3 or 4 people answering those. We'll get back to you pretty quickly. You guys already know that's the email we've already been asking you to email out. It keeps us kind of separated here so we can keep all the team stuff related, and more people have their eyes on that email, so you'll get a quicker response.
All right, with that being said, let's get out of here. Everybody
right.
Have a good night, and go Team USA.
Thank you. We'll see you all in a few weeks.